Hey guys, SCS here. Today we're going to be talking about GND Protocol. Give it a quick run through as a fast five and talk about exactly what they do and really explain why I think that this has a good spot in the market. First things first, they have a concentrated liquidity engine. This is the reason I brought up GND. I think that there's a very big market for people having managed liquidity positions, especially with Uniswap v3. When you look at the Uniswap v3 liquidity engine, I think the problem is that not enough investors actually know how to use Uniswap v3 or concentrated liquidity as a whole. And even if they do, it's extremely hard to actively manage these positions so you don't get yourself wrecked, especially with how volatile crypto is. So I've been looking at more protocols that are doing these liquidity engines or auto pulls for concentrated liquidity. I think this is going to be a massive market, and GND is one of the first movers. So GND actually manages those positions for you, so you don't have to be actively managing, and it caters extremely well to retail. They have 32 million TVL, which is pretty impressive for being 3 weeks old. When you actually look at their farms, they're paying extremely healthy rewards. So honestly, I love this. I think the TVL is going to continue to grow. People are looking for ways to manage positions, and these APRs are awesome. They're paying extremely healthy rewards. 50% of these rewards are paid out in GND and 50% are paid out in XGND, I believe. So what that does is that XGND, you'll have to vest it. You can quick vest for 50%. You'd burn 50% and get 50% quick vested in 20 days, or you can wait 200 days and vest it to get 1-to-1. So say you're looking at this WETH GMX pool. It's paying 108% APR. That's paid out in GND and XGND, but all of the swap fees that the protocol is earning, fees are going to be WETH GMX. So the treasury gets packed with WETH GMX. They sell those off. They either pay them out in dividends to the holders of XGND who are staking, or they use it to buy back the GND token, which further supports price. So these APRs stay extremely healthy. One, because they kicked the dilution can down the road to that 200-day mark, and two, because they have the buybacks to help support price. All things that I think are extremely important. So why did this get so much attention? First is really the revenue. So you're 3 weeks in, it has $420,000 in revenue on 32 million TVL. That's nuts for 3 weeks. So extremely impressive right out of the gate. They pay some of that revenue out as dividends. So they've paid about 70 ETH out in dividends, and they've paid about 106 ETH in buybacks. So this helps support the price floor as far as the buybacks, and then the dividends pays out ETH to all of the holders. So they get an extremely nice chunk of rewards based off of like the actual protocol performance. So looking into the actual stable coins, GM USDC built on top of GMX, you have GDI built on top of Gains Network. These are both paying 15 to 25%, but what the protocol actually does is it arbitrages this back to their current peg. So it runs through a few of the models of what one GMD USDC should be worth as this becomes depegged. They arbitrage it back to where it belongs. And that's a huge revenue driver for the protocol, and it helps separate them. They just announced that they're doing an OTC program. If say you have one XGND that you're trying to vest, they'll OTC it right away for a 60% hit. So they'll give you like 0.4 GND liquid, and it's based off of how much GND is actually available. So they're keeping this in the treasury, but it's based off of GND that's bought back. So like they will allow some of that to OTC, but the stuff that they OTC, they're gonna hold in the treasury, or they're gonna stake, and then it's gonna earn ETH. So like say we get to day 200 when all of that dilution is gonna finally show up and all that vesting happens, like 1-to-1 vesting. If they have, say, 1,000 XGND in their treasury that's actually printing ETH, they can always use those for buybacks, and like they're actually investing in their own protocol over time. It's got a nice flywheel. It's got a ton of Ponzi-nomics, like similar to Grail. The playbook I think is super clear. Right now, today, we're right at the 20-day mark. So we have these big unlocks happening. So the people who immediately vested and are taking profits based off of those who took the 50% hit right away, like you have these big vests. But if you look over the course of the next multiple weeks, like there's very little unlocks happening. Like the 69 is the biggest one. That's really not that bad. When you look at these big vests coming in November, like 1,000, those are pretty hefty. That's a 500K vesting day at current prices. So I'm playing it similar to Grail. Like I'm earning a position through LPs. I'm gonna hold a position up until about that 200-day mark, so I can exit before these people. I'll keep some XGND for the long haul, but it's I'll wait for it to correct, and I'll just front run some of these big unlocks is really my plan. And this is some of the buybacks info. So they're buying back about like 16K today. That's about 32 GND are bought back. This day was 20. This day was 56 GND bought back. The buybacks are actually bigger than the unlocks through the next however many weeks. So, I mean, with that being said, that's positive price appreciation. Like, this thing should go on a very nice run, just based off of the buybacks that are happening. There is dilution from the farms. They are paying out net new tokens, but they've done a decent job diluting it to the point and buying back currently, so that dilution is very much so offset by some of those buybacks, as well as people depositing for XGND. So let me find that chart. GND locked over time for XGND. So if you look, they had a contract switch this day, but like 93 GND locked, 88, 637 locked. So all of these people are taking their liquid GND and locking it for XGND to get a portion of those ETH rewards. But with that, like, the circulating supply is shrinking. So just based off of this, like, it's highly, highly deflationary, at least the circulating GND is. So keep an eye on how many like actual GNDs are being deposited per day, on top of like how big these buybacks are. And then if you look, compare that to dilution over time, it paints a pretty good picture. If you look at the chart, it's been really up only. Like, this has been one of the strongest like looking charts I've seen. Very similar to Grail. It's pulling a Grail. And a lot of people have talked about that on Twitter. You're also seeing RSI just slowly cool off over time. But as it cools off, I mean, you're also having the price just directly appreciate. So this is eventually going to break back out, and this thing's going to go on a nice run. I could see this going to easily maybe 1 to 2K in the next like month or two. It wouldn't take much, just a little bit of a boost from a TVL perspective. But just looking at the staking of XGND on top of buybacks and people depositing more GND for XGND to really help that flywheel. The other thing that supports price is this base APR. So these are all the dividends that are paid out to like people who stake XGND. So you stake, you earn 56% paid in ETH, which is extremely nice, especially if you're expecting price to appreciate further. Like, you're not that worried about being trapped in XGND where big vestings happen down the road. If your price appreciates a few X's and you're still earning 50% APR. So it's important to be early. Like I said, there's a lot of Ponzi-nomics here. I'm playing it exactly very similar to how I played Grail. I think that's probably the best move, but I'm also going to be earning a position longer term. All good things. Overall, I'm extremely excited about where GND can go over at least the next few months, and looking to really play it similarly to Grail, as I mentioned. So get in, earn a position through LPing, maybe buy some liquid GND, and then I'll look to exit before some of those big vests. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and appreciate your support as always. Thanks. Bye.